Hi, my name is Sunmee Chang. I'm going to present today the paper under the name of the title, Using Intertitles for Language Teaching and Learning. Okay, there has been an ever increasing tendency to use a variety of audiovisual materials from cultural context as resources of language input for language learners, in that this kind of authentic input is regarded a great help in facilitating learners of second or foreign language learners. Such audiovisual materials have cross-linguistic and cross-cultural values. They contain ideas and opinions in various forms of art and popular culture, which are expressed both explicitly and implicitly. So this diversity of expression enables them to be an effective platform from which language learners can be immersed in the culture or way of life of the target community. So when a teacher select appropriate materials, learners are provided authentic language input and opportunities to acquire their target language. And they can experience broadening their knowledge of many kinds of things, such as history, politics, and social agendas of the country where the target language is spoken. So audiovisual materials are very useful to be used as language teaching materials and learning materials. So the purpose of this paper is not suggesting any specific things you have to teach or how to teach explicitly. It is just to show an example of language teaching and learning through an audio-visual material. The audio-visual material selected for this paper is a sitcom, situation comedy, which is will be introduced in the next slide. Through this sitcom, language teachers can facilitate learners to experience their target culture and target language in terms of acquiring second language or foreign language. Yes. So the target of this the example lesson is the advanced levels of adults learners. They just learn some cultural knowledge of their target language, which is English, and many other things other than just their target language. Okay. Frasier, this is the title of the comedy series, selected one for this paper, has many features of uniqueness. It has relatively unique linguistic features of discourse patterns, which fit with the level of learners. So compared with other popular comedy shows, overall linguistic features of Frasier are much more complicated. And also it has a variety of episodes, the 11 seasons, which starts from 1993 till 2004. It just relished 11 seasons, and during that seasons, it shows various themes and plots with extraordinarily amusing scenes and topics and issues. Okay, in most of the other popular American sitcoms and dramas, characters draw laughter from the audience by usually doing superficial wordplay or forging contrived situations. But in Frasier, most of laughing points are created as the plot becomes more complex in the context of episodes. This means the deeper one thinks about the situation, the greater the humor becomes. Yes, it has a high level of wit in every episode. Okay, and then the most unique feature of this sitcom is that, okay, together with linguistic components, adult learners, gains a comprehensive understanding about interesting psychological aspects that are formed by cultural expectations. And I said most, but more than most unique features of Frasier is the intertitle, the use of intertitles. Not just use of intertitles, interesting use of intertitles. That's the most unique point of this sitcom. Okay, this a Frasier. Each episode of Frasier is divided into several chapters, and preceding each one is an intertitle that says what the upcoming scene is about. So the intertitles are presented in various forms and foreshadows scenes directly and indirectly. Okay, I'll show you what the intertitles is. Okay, they are intertitles. Maybe you have experienced, you may have seen this sometime in an old movies in 1920s or 30s, so Westerners movies though. Okay, the intertitles. The term intertitles, we don't know who made that name of that word. I mean, intertitles. Okay, intertitles are printed text positioned amid the scenes of a film or drama at various points, which were usually used with silent films to show dialogues from the preceded scenes or to provide explanations of the scenes. In modern films and dramas, intertitles are still used to supplement or to distinguish various acts of a film. However, they are mostly used as part of epilogues of historical dramas or of films based on true events to properly explain what happened to the depicted characters and events upon the conclusion of the stories. Okay, so, but here are two kinds of intertitles. Maybe we can come up with more categories, but these two categories have been traditionally understood. The representative two categories, which one? The first one is expository intertitle, and second one is a dialogue intertitle. Okay, dialogue intertitles, it is known as a spoken titles, represents the character's speech, okay, while expository intertitles, also called explanatory and narrative intertitles, explain some aspect of film's action, okay, describing what the scene is about. And there's a quotation mark. It's obviously part of dialogue. Okay. Here are some examples of intertitles from Frasier. The ring, the foot in mouth disease. You may notice some kind of parody and sarcastic expressions here. Like this, Lord of the Dance, getting solid, fasten your seatbelt. Nas gets his daily dose of spinach. Something like that. Very amusing titles. And it is like a Lord of the Dance. Yes, it definitely comes from Lord of the Rings, right? Fasten your seatbelts. Okay, this is an expression you often hear in the express bus and in airplane, right? So Frasier used this kind of expressions as a part of intertitles. The little bit of analysis of intertitles of Frasier will be shown a little bit later. Okay, there's some more examples since we are out of space, so I just made a table like this example. There are so many. Okay, there are 835 intertitles. I cannot show you each of 835 intertitles. So I just made a table like this. Just 8 out of them. Like this is the season number, and this is the episode number, and this is the title of the episode, and this is the intertitles. In just one intertitle in this episode. Anything look familiar to you, like Driving Miss Daphne? Yeah, it is from Driving Miss Daisy, right? And Tuesday with Frasier, Tuesdays with Maury, Don't Cry for Me, Argentina. Okay, it is verbatim. Okay, no zombies were harmed in the film of this episode. So in the many films, I mean, yeah, movies where animals were um, animals were shown, the movie where the animals were, after the finishing the the movie, there's a last credit screen there, credit scene. There's a no dogs were harmed in these movies or something like that. So this is a parody from that. Okay, our Father whose art ain't heaven. It is the Lord's Prayer. Is the parody line from Lord's Prayer. To understand Westerners' culture, you cannot exclude Christianity at all. You may, whether you believe in Jesus Christ or God or not, you have to have a certain amount of knowledge about Christianity to understand Western cultures. Okay. Here's preliminary analysis of Frasier. The total number of intertitles is 835. The titles means, okay, 11 seasons, and in each season it has 24 episodes. And intertitles were totally 571. But I just included the titles of the episode as a part of intertitles because that title also foreshadows what's going to happen in that episode. So I think they can be regarded as intertitles. That's why I added the number of titles to the intertitles, and total number 835. That's not important though. Okay. Okay, you may, the surface patterns of intertitles, like you may run into the names of characters like celebrities, fairy tale characters, and you may see movie titles or play titles, show titles, book titles, or song titles. And you may see famous quotes, like lines from movies, old shows, plays, other literature, and celebrities. And also, you can see idiomatic and conventional phrases and expressions. That's the surface patterns of intertitles from Frasier. Okay, why the functions of the intertitles? Okay, explicit description as it is, or some kind of implicit description like sarcasm, also parody, and techniques, playing with words, using intact forms. Yeah, there's some, I just divided into three categories. Like, so this is a function, and it's the how to use it. Sometimes it's play with words, and sometimes they just use it as it is. And range, maybe total intertitles are from certain code, or sometimes it's like a whole, and then sometimes they just change the part. Like, okay, driving Miss Daphne is a part. The Daisy part, change it into Daphne. But Don't Cry for Me, Argentina, that's the whole thing, no change. but it is used like this. Okay. Okay, I'm going to show you an example. The characters. Okay, this kind of it's a musical title, maybe. George and Ira. Andy Warhol said it best. Okay, Andy Warhol is a famous pop artist. It will be the world's first four-legged leprechaun. It's hard to. It's some kind of fairy in a fairy tale. Okay, Westerners knows what that is. The titles from movies, songs, and books like a Let Us Smile, Be Your Umbrella, Rosie Doyle, and the Temple of Doom. Rosie Doyle is the name of the character of Frasier. And Travels with Martin. Okay, this sounds very familiar, right? And it's quotes from movie lines and literature or old shows like The Unkindest Cut of All. It's Antony's and Caesar's. It is the description of that, Antony's and Caesar's, confrontation situation. Okay, denial ain't just a river. Checkpoint Charlie. Okay, some idiomatic and conventional phrases and expressions. Albuquerque is approximately 136 square miles. Busman's holiday. Look what I found with the dust bunnies. Okay, so it's a little bit change here, but the whole structure from some idiomatic and conventional phrases. Here there's some examples. Example analysis. It is not included by this paper actually, but I just want to show how it can be analyzed. Like okay, Driving Miss Daphne is a movie title. It's like a sarcasm or a parody. It's a playing with words, right? And not whole, just part. Okay, edu edi is a Latin expression. The line. The quote is a sarcasm parody. So like it's a Caesar. Okay. Its original form is edu Brutus, right? The one who killed Caesar. It's a quote and sarcasm and parody and playing with words, just part. Eddie is the name of a dog in Frasier. Okay. No eels were harmed during the making of this episode. Idiomatic. And also can be sarcasm. Sometimes it is kind of the categories are overlapping. So it's up to you to decide which category it can go under. Okay, that's an example analysis of intertitles in Frasier. As you see these kind of lines and intertitles here, so you may get some new knowledge about the culture of your target language. Okay, so it's a very fun way to study. So it's not the ultimate or optimal lesson at all, but I'm going to show you a kind of sample lesson by using intertitles for students. Like student levels are advanced adults, and so you can do this kind of things with your students. Like I arranged that following the kind of timeline, linear way. You ask students to watch the episode in advance before the class. So once the class starts, after ice breaking or any great greeting time, you just check out whether they saw it, watched it. So it's a little bit of a simple comprehension checkup time can be proceed. Like maybe let the students to describe and talk about the general impressions they get from the episode. And also you let each student have a chance to express their feelings about the episode. So if the class size is too big, it's not that convenient to hear each of your students' opinion. Maybe in that case, you may go by group. Okay, you can go further check. Like this, have each student or each group report their answers, or distribute the script and go over it scene by scene with videos. It may take a lot of time. So you can, and there's an example, just a suggestion. You can maybe choose just one thing at a time. Okay, and then you may do you may assign some group task and ask to do the task. And then after that, you may have group report session like this. Okay, there's an example task you can give to your students, to student group. Okay, after the group reporting session, you can encourage students to participate more actively with other activities too. Expected students participate. Maybe if your students are too shy and quiet, maybe this cannot be expected, but the level of your students are advanced level. So I think this is easily can be expected like this. Since the students are advanced adults, they are capable of satisfactory answers and discussion results. The whole class help and correct language use of individuals or groups as task results are presented to the class. Okay, since they are adult, teachers' management is not that critical. You can just intervene from time to time and help them. Okay. The teacher may point out more lines that signify lesson goals as the characters interact and clarify any confusing terms among the students regarding intertitles. New or difficult linguistic features are to be checked as well. Additionally, extensions of the humor of something like this. This is an example. I just forgot to mention that this is done based on an episode where the Frasier's father's dog Eddie was about to be neutered. Okay, so it's a very funny episode. Okay, I'm sorry about that. I just forgot to mention before showing this sample lesson. So that's why it is mentioned like this. So since teaching with a single episode is time consumer, the judicial selection of lines for learning expressions and grammar is essential. Along with this, some interesting cultural elements and contextual knowledge is to be considered for more in-depth teaching. Okay, you have to consider as a teacher. Okay, you can just wrap up. There's many ways to wrap up wisely. There's some examples. Maybe as you wrap up, you may give them some homework, additional homework. Okay, so since this episode, this sitcom is pretty old one, relatively, so it is, many episodes are still available on YouTube. So they just pick one episode or scene and they do some activities with them. Maybe you can give them some activities like this. It's up to you. Okay, so maybe next lesson can be decided or determined by the completion level of students' homework. So class should be interactive and communicative. So knowledge is not previously set. The knowledge can be just constructed during the class and within the interaction with your students. So your lesson plan can be changed anytime. As I told you, these sample lessons, just a sample lesson, you can come up with any kind of lesson. There are tons of lessons plans on web pages and many many good books. You can just modify them and take them into your consideration, and then you can just modify it into your version. I just show you an example. But since the nature of intertitles are very unique, so I just take that and melt them into this kind of sample example, lesson plan. So conclusions. The exploration in this paper, focusing on using intertitles from Frasier to teach language acquisition, touches just the tip of the iceberg of the abundant lesson opportunities Frasier provided. But in this focus, it has shed even more light on what other researchers continue to investigate concerning the pedagogical value of utilizing audiovisual materials as a source of authentic linguistic and cultural input for language learners. The question of how to teach or how to apply practical applications is in part determined independently by the teacher's comfort level and skill set, but what is a prediction for future studies to observe is that Frasier and its intertitles are in rare use as teaching material in spite of its unique qualities. Future empirical research with a selected group of learners is expected to compensate for the limitation of this study. Thank you very much.